Alrighty, everybody. So today what we're going to do is we are going to create a one-point perspective street. So I'm going to show you the steps on how to do that. So the first thing that we need to draw is a horizon line. You're going to need a ruler for this, and a pencil, and your paper, hopefully with your name on it. I'm actually going to put my name on here right now. And my class hour, which for you guys will probably be 5-7 or 5-8 or 5-9. Okay, make sure that your name goes on the back of your paper. Then, about at the middle of the paper, we have to draw a horizon line. Our horizon line is going to be the point where the sky and the ground meet. Now notice, I am lining up my ruler with the edge of the paper because I'm going to go along the long way or the horizontal way of the paper. So see how my line is? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this side, line up my ruler with the other part of the line that I just drew, and then there's my horizon line. Now it's okay if your horizon line is not exactly in the middle, it's closer to the top or the bottom, but just try and make it somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then at one point we're going to put our vanishing point. Our vanishing point is where all the things in the picture are going to go to. So the closer something gets to the vanishing point, the smaller it's going to be. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from the corner to the vanishing point on all four sides. So I just did that on one side. I'm going to do that here. Do that up here. And up here. Like so. So at this point, you should see all these lines like this on your paper. Now what I got to do next is I am actually going to start putting trees on one side and then buildings on the other. These diagonal lines that you just drew right here and right here show me how tall they're going to be. So if I draw a tree right here, it's going to go all the way up to that top line right here, or this bottom line down here, and it's going to go all the way up to this top line right here. So when I draw my first tree, trees are pretty easy. The top part of them, and I'm actually going to switch to a marker so that you guys can see my lines better. Awesome. You're going to be doing all of this in pencil, but I'm going to draw in Sharpie so you guys can see this better. Now, ultimately, you're going to, after you draw your pencil lines, you're going to draw with Sharpie. But first, you're going to be doing this with pencil. I'm only doing this with Sharpie so that you can see. So my first tree is going to look like this. And the top part of a tree looks kind of like a cloud. So it's just kind of got that poofy line on it. Now, it's okay if your tree goes off the paper. And a tree trunk, so notice the top part goes up to that top line that I drew. I'm going to draw this in with Sharpie real quick. See this line? Now when you guys outline this with Sharpie, you're not going to draw that line. You don't see the vanishing point with the lines later. Now the top part of my tree is going to go to that top line. This bottom line down here that I drew, see it? That's where the bottom part of my tree is going to go. A tree really is just like a cylinder. So I'm going to draw my lines down here. Then I'll connect them with a nice little line like this. And then, let me flip it over so it looks right side up to you guys. And then for the branches, I'm just going to make little lines with V's in between them. And then connect the tree down below. Okay? For my next tree, it's only going to come up to this line right here. So go like this. And then the bottom part's only going to come down here. So next tree, like this. Like that. And then my next tree. Notice how I'm using these lines that I drew out to the corners as my guidelines for where my trees go. So they're going to get smaller as they get closer to the vanishing point. And this is how artists, for the past couple hundred years actually, have made it so that it looks like I'm looking at a real street even though it's on a piece of paper. Pretty cool. Now the next part's a little bit more difficult. So I use these top lines. The next part, I have to use this top and bottom line to help me draw my buildings. So I'm going to start by using my ruler. I'm going to make a short L. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to make a little L like this. See how it went to the line that I drew? And then I'm going to use my ruler. I'm going to line it up with the top part of my paper right here and bring it up to that line that I just drew to the guideline. And I'm going to draw it down to the bottom guideline. See how I did that? Now the next part of your building, so this is just the front. If the building was flat like a piece of paper, we would leave it like this. But all buildings have thickness to them. So we are going to draw a short little line down here using our guideline. So see how I drew that line on top of the guideline? That's the second part of the building, so we can see a corner. And then I'm going to draw another line down, straight down. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the top part of my paper up here, and then draw a line down to the guideline. See how that is? And then use my guideline to help me draw it. So this is one side of the building. This is the front side of the building. So I can use my ruler to help me draw the front side of the building. So now I have the corner of a building. So this is the corner, this can be the front, this can be the side of the building. But I'm going to draw another one because we're going to be drawing a city street. So I'm going to move down just a little bit. I can use my ruler here to keep the top part of my building straight. This guideline comes right here. So I'm going to draw my short upside down L. See how I did that? I drew it to the guideline. Draw it straight down. Line up my ruler to the edge of the paper. Draw straight down. Draw over my guideline for the second part of my building. See right here we have a corner. So another two sides. I can use my ruler to help me draw the bottom part of the building. So see how I lined it up over here? I'm going to use my ruler over here to make, so I lined it up at the bottom, or you can use the top to make sure it's straight up and down. See, now I have two buildings. See how there's a one building right here and then a second building right here? And I'm going to keep on doing this until I get all of my buildings done. Now it's easier to draw straight lines the smaller your buildings are. Now I'm not using my ruler right now, but you guys should, because see, my lines right here aren't that straight. Now we have to add our sidewalk. Now the top part of our sidewalk is going to be this guideline, so we already drew that. The second part of the sidewalk, so this is the front part. Now remember, you should not be working with Sharpie right now. I'm only doing this so it's easier for you guys to see. The first part you're going to draw with Sharpie. Notice how my horizon line, that's where the ground meets the sky, that's disappearing behind my trees and my buildings. Then, I'm going back to my vanishing point. See how this line comes a little bit over to the edge and then goes back to the vanishing point? I'm going to do that for the other side. For my sidewalk, this, and then like this. Ta-da! Now the cool thing with the sidewalk is I have to put the lines. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to use my ruler to help me draw straight lines all the way down, like so. And this makes it look like somebody in the city built the sidewalk, which is pretty awesome. Because I've seen people do slanty sidewalks, but when they make a city, the city does not make slanty sidewalks. Now when you get down here at the bottom, what I do is I'll just line up the ruler with the last line that I drew and then draw a line there until I can't draw lines anymore. Alright, after that we need to draw the little lines in the street. So there's street lines, you know, where the cars are. So I'm going to put two little dots down here at the bottom, like this. And I'm going to draw from one dot back to the vanishing point. So I'm going to actually do this with pencil because I need to erase. I'm going to try and make this really dark so you can see it. See that? And I'm going to do what I did with the sidewalk almost, where I'm drawing straight lines. And the reason why I'm drawing everything back to the vanishing point is the closer things get to the vanishing point, they vanish. If they're at the vanishing point, they vanish. You can't see any more sidewalk after this. So if you have a straight line going back into the vanishing point, then you better make it small. So make sure that your lines all go to the vanishing point. Now the trees and stuff in the buildings get smaller as they get closer. Then what I'm going to do is I have to erase every other one because that's how they do streets. You know, those little white rectangles on the street when you're driving to make sure that people are going one way or the other way. So then I'm going to erase in between all of them. Right? And at the end, once I get all my details in, I'm going to outline stuff in Sharpie, but I'll just leave it like this. Now the last part is we have to put 5 different details in here. Your details could be windows or flowers or a fence. One time I had somebody put an ocean over here, whatever you want it to be. But I'm going to show you an example of something that doesn't work. Some people do this, and they say, okay, Miss Hellman, I've put 3 clouds on here. So I put 3 things, so now I only need 2 more. You have to have 5 different categories of things. So even if you put 3 clouds in the sky, that only counts as 1 category. You can put doors on your businesses or your buildings. You can put windows. So doors are 1, so now I have 2. I can put a big window because what big building doesn't have a window? Maybe I can make a shop. Now you can make your city any kind of theme you want. If you want to make it like themed like your favorite video game, or you know, maybe this is like a bake shop though. Maybe you like baking. And then there's a little cake in the window. Do something like that. You can make the details anything that you want. If you put signs, that also counts as a detail. So maybe I can put shop. And we learned how to do our bubble letters together, so you should be pretty good at making signs. Or maybe we can put flowers. That's another detail. It can be literally any kind of detail you want. Like if you wanted to put cars on the street or somebody walking, that's fine. Then when you get done, you're going to get a Sharpie. So after you're done with all of this, you're going to get a Sharpie. Now this line right here is incorrect. You do not want to draw a Sharpie on this line right here. If you can see your horizon line in the background, that actually counts as the ground. So make sure you draw that in. So see in the very back, I can see my horizon line. Now, over here, it's behind the trees, so I wouldn't see it anymore. So I'm going to erase that part. I'm also going to erase all the spaces in between the buildings. So see how there's this line there? I'm going to have to erase it. Once you get all 5 of your details done, you can outline everything in Sharpie, and then we're going to color this in with those coloring sticks that people have been seeing. So they're kind of like a crayon, kind of like a colored pencil, and you're going to fill in the whole thing with whatever you want. You can make it rainbow colored, you can make it anything. It's your town, you can do with it what you want. Alright, remember, put your name on the back of your paper with your class hour. If you have any questions, please let me know. Remember, start with a pencil, Start with a ruler. And then if you get done with all of this stuff, then you can outline it in Sharpie. All right, awesome. Good luck.